Alright, and welcome back to Zero Cool Gaming, and today we're going to be doing a review of a game called Legend of the Guardians, the Owls of Ga'Hoole.
The Glauxian monks honored the owl god Glaux through study and quiet contemplation. Since the war against Surtur and his pure ones many years ago, the monks have maintained a constant vigil across the land, forever watching for anything that may threaten their life of peace and tranquility. On this day, it was the job of a young acolyte named Gratia to take his place at the lookout post. As Gratia kept watch, an unsettling feeling began to well inside his gizzard. He could sense something was wrong. Suddenly, without warning or sound, the hag's fiends attacked. The hideous creatures stormed into the monastery, ruthlessly eliminating every soul in their path. With the cries of his brethren echoing through the hollows, Gratia tried valiantly to save them, but it was too late. The monastery was lost. Managing to escape, Gratia was plagued with feelings of guilt and confusion. How could he have missed the invaders? Rumors began to spread about his negligence. Chance at life and a means to move forward.
Alright, so what kind of game is this? Well, this is a flying game. The whole game is, well, you're an owl and you fly around and you attack things with your speed, your claws. You learn like spin attacks, wing defense, claw attacks, these sorts of things. You can also grab onto certain things and throw them. You can use your claws to slowly take things apart. These sorts of things. It's an interesting game. I mean, it's... I don't know, it's not the best game I've ever played, but it's not unfun, it's just a little clanky, I guess is the best way of putting it. They could have put some more time into the gameplay, but it has a solid story to it. So let's go ahead and get into the story itself. It starts out with your father on guard, and while he's on guard for the evening defenses, a bunch of pure ones are able to get very close without him able to detect their presence. And then they get into the tree itself and slaughter many of the elder owls within it.
You did better than I thought.
And then leave the area, leaving your father alive and others to decry him as an unworthy guardian, because he had allowed such a thing to happen without warning anyone of what was happening, and some even accused him of falling asleep while on guard duty. None of that was true, but he couldn't prove his innocence either. So he left the area, and eventually he got a mate, and they laid an egg. And just as your egg was hatching, they were attacked again by the pure ones, and both your father and mother were killed as a result. And a guardian swoops in and carries you to their guardian tree, where you are raised to be a guardian yourself. And there's a lot of trials, and they teach you how to fly, teach you how to use your claws, teach you how to do different tasks. And when you've completed all that tasks, or all of those tasks, some other guardians have found a orphanage that was being used as a slave camp for young owls, where they forced them to mine essentially for a kind of metal that they called fleck.
Shall we?
And when these young owls were rescued from this slavery and they told their stories, there were a few guardians that doubted the truthfulness of what they were saying.
So then, we need to find a way to
And
get them
then
out into the
your
open.
guardian owl
I'll
tree
wager a
gets
few well-placed hot
attacked
calls
by a
should do the
bunch
trick.
of
What they had learned.
crows, and as well as bats. So you head off to find out what these bats are doing.
The pure ones are on the attack. They're almost upon
And
our
these
headquarters.
bats
There's no
are
choice left but to
stealing
evacuate.
young owls and
The headquarters is under attack.
giving
We
them
need your help, sport.
to the pure ones as payment for defense. And the defense that these pure ones give the bats is a fleck defense,
Let's get those outlets out of
which
here.
also
Quick,
serves as a
protect
way
the carrier
to
team and guide them
imprison
safely
the
to
owls.
new headquarters.
So eventually you tear
Some
down
of our new
these
allies have found themselves lost within the storm.
defensive totems as
Set up
well
some
as
torches to help guide them
imprisonment
towards the
totems,
resistance headquarters.
freeing the owls within,
Counting on you to light them, sport.
and then they send you on another
Put out a call to our fellow Tinos
mission
join
to
the
try to
resistance.
find
Pure
out
ones may
some
have struck a
information
blow.
about this
We want to
fleck.
save what's left of our home. We're gonna need some
And
help
as you
finding our new
travel
headquarters.
north, you
Thanks for all your help, Guardian.
battle more bats, as well as battling a new threat that they think is
Exhausted
a
to follow, and with too many wounded to tend to,
hybrid
Shard
of
and Bryony felt it best to let the
owls
surviving
and
pure ones
crows.
flee to parts unknown. They'd been given a sound thrashing.
and
would not be back soon.
these hybrid creatures
Bryony bid Shard a sincere thanks for his efforts.
attacked the
and before he
sanctuary
left, she
in
also
the
gave him
northern
a friendly
lands,
word of warning.
and you help
sport.
to defend that
The Pure Ones was
sanctuary
holding a
from
prisoner.
these things.
I heard tell of someone they called the Guardian.
And you follow them
Seems this bloke's
further
been feeding
north
info
to
from
where
up that
a
tree of
hermit
yours.
is,
I'd best be
who had
watching
also
me
been
tail
attacked
feathers
by these
if I was
things.
you.
Shard then flew the long
And
journey back to the
after
island
helping
of
him
the
to
whole
rescue
his
those that
heart
had been
hung heavy
captured
with
by
this
them,
disturbing report.
he returns to the sanctuary with you and tells you that
Past the ice,
This
the monk took pause, then
fleck
continued.
has some
There is, however,
pretty
an elderly
damaging
hermit named
effects
Cormac,
to it,
who dwells in some old
and one of
ruins
those
not far from
effects
here.
is making it very easy
He
for
once studied
anyone
at
who
Perrock and might be
carries
convinced to help you.
these ambulance with
But be
fleck in them
watchful. A group of monks
to get
went
very
visit him
close
weeks
to
ago,
owls without
and
them
when they did
being
not
able
return, a few of our
feel
younger
their
brethren
presence.
left to investigate. Neither group has been heard from, and high winds at this time of
which
the year
explains
have hampered
exactly
our
what
search
happened to
efforts.
your father
Shard
when
pledged
these
to do
pure
all
ones
he could.
Cormac's
attacked the
young brethren
sanctuary
may
that
be
he
in
was
trouble.
supposed to be
I'll need you
guarding.
to travel to the ruins and check on their situation, but be heedful, young guardian.
So,
Look out for anything that may
by this
seem
point, you've been
suspicious.
told by a couple of people that
That's
your father
strange.
was
There's a
a
group of bats flying in the same direction we are,
good
and
man,
they're carrying some sort of
and
bundle.
he had always done right by those that he had helped in the past,
It's keeping the monks grounded.
which makes you feel a
We
little
have to
better
bring down
about
the pillars to set them free. The
your
half-breeds
father
have been
himself,
taking monks to
because all
mine in
you've
their
ever
flight
heard from the
facility.
Guardians
Time
is
for
that he
peace
was
has
a
passed. We must rescue them. We need
lazy
to get into the
guardian
facility and take down
who
those flag
failed
pillars.
at doing
Only
his
then
job,
will my
and
brethren be free.
as a result of that, many elders were killed in the process. So there was a lot of animosity against you because they didn't feel much better about you
We must
because
leave this
of
place
what they
before
felt
more
that your
hate
father
fiends
had
come.
done.
Friends, I do not
The
like the look of that
sanctuary
fog
also
coming in.
ends up giving you some more armaments, which are steel talons to go over your owl talons, And by this point, you'd already collected some other armaments as well, including a helmet, and collected several skills that help you to defeat your enemies. So throughout the whole game, you continue to collect more armaments, more defensive measures, as well as attacking measures, which makes your attacks stronger and your defenses stronger, as well as collecting skills that allow you to do more types of attacks and more powerful attacks. So, you know, it's a basic progression for most games, to be quite honest with you. And this kind of progression you can see in a lot of different types of games. And the same thing can be found here. Alright, so the traitor within the Guardians ends up bringing back a older slave owl that finally convinces the Guardians that the Pure Ones are an actual threat, and they head off to take on that threat. In the process of doing so, they end up being knocked out of the sky and incapable of flying. Shortly after, some of the younger members of the Guardians go off after them, and then you and your friends go off after those. Eventually you come across the weapons used to knock the initial force out of the sky, and you end up taking out those traps so that the Guardians can fly again. And then you attack the palace at large after destroying the beacon on top of it, so that they can't call in more reinforcements. Once you've done that, then you try to figure out how you can take out the palace itself, and you do that by taking out the furnaces beneath it. And then the game itself concludes with a final battle between you and the traitor within the Guardians, and after you defeat him, the game is over. And then there's some reflections on life and what you've been doing and why it is that you do what you do.
My father, my mother. In any event, the Pure Ones,
yeah, there's not much comfort in revenge, normally. But regardless, some questions have been answered, some beliefs have been squashed, and your family's name, at the very least, has been returned to good standing. So that's basically how this game ends. It's not a very long game, and it is, like I said, a flying game. It's actually, I guess you could call it a third-person action adventure, because it is played in the third person, and it is a flying game. It's just a little odd in how you fly, and the controls, like I said, they're a little clunky. But other than that, it's a pretty decent game. I didn't play any more of these type of games, and there's several reasons for that. One of the main ones being is that it's just, I've played better flying games, and I prefer space simulation games over this type of game. Not that I haven't played other games like this, I certainly have. They're not bad. One of the older games that I played like this was called Knights, where you play, I guess you could call it a clown that can fly through the sky, and you go through different circles on the screen, and you try to do tricks as you do so. And the better you get at the game, the more points you get at each level, and eventually you start scoring high levels and you make it further and further through the game. It was an odd game, to say the least. Just like this one was kind of an odd game. But in truth, I can't even say that it was as well done as Knights was. And Knights was a much older game, to say the least. While although the graphics weren't as good as this game, the gameplay itself was much better. But that's just my opinion. I mean, it is what it is.
Dear Shard.
Shard, are you all right?
Alomir is dead. Justice has been served. I used to think honor and justice were ideals worth fighting for. But they didn't bring me peace.
Ah, but they are worth fighting for. But only for what they give, for what they protect.
Like truth and fellowship.
Spoken like a true guardian.
So that's it? The Pure Ones are gone?
Defeated, perhaps, but not gone. It's more than we can hope that such intolerance will stay buried forever.
Alright, well, I'm going to call that my rant for the day. I hope that you enjoy the rest of yours. If you could hit the like, subscribe, rumble, follow buttons, all that does help. And I will talk to you later.